To all of the honored guests and everyone in their respective positions, I greet you all the way from the United States of America by way of Jacksonville, Florida. I am a Floridian, but I am so humbled to speak here today. And I just want to say that I thank God for my husband who is with me, who is from Nigeria. So I want you to know that I am a Nigerian woman. I believe that the key word that I would have to share with you is change. And real change only comes through an exchange. I really had some struggles and concerns because I know that my steps are ordered. And I was trying to figure out how did a simple woman like me end up speaking before such great and prestigious people. But I want to let you know that I come much further than from America. I've heard everything that I should not say, or some of the things that I may not want to share because of the culture. But I am a woman from the streets of America. I was on drugs. I was the fastest female sprinter in junior college in the United States. I got a scholarship. I was on the fastest relay team in America at Florida State University. The other three women on that relay team, they went to the Olympics. But from that track team, being treated like a prima donna and everything laid out for me and nothing was going bad, although I came from a negative background, when those three women went to the Olympics, I went to the drug house. And I became something that I never thought I would be, although I was raised up in very menial and small beginnings, and my family was very poor. I believe that I bring something to the table to all the young people and people that have struggled, to let them know that you can make it and that we can make it and that change is a real thing. In order for there to be a change, there must be an exchange. There must be an exchange from poverty to provision and prosperity, from corruption to integrity, from darkness to light, and from confusion to clarity. I believe that the literal climate needs to be changed. And any sustained atmosphere, if it's sustained long enough, it becomes a climate, and that climate becomes a stronghold, and it controls the thinking of the people. My mindset had to be changed from where I came from to where I am right now. I also need to let you know that I'm a preacher. I'm a minister of the gospel. And that was the thing that brought me out of the darkness that I was in. And they're saying congresswoman, but I've actually been an elected official in Florida for the past 10 years, as a member of the House of Representatives in Florida, and a commissioner. I'm the only black woman in my city to hold a citywide seat. And I can't tell you any more than what happened. While I was traveling around the world, I have written 24 books. I have traveled to 36 countries. Things were going so well for me. Very good. I had houses in different parts of the state, and everything was laid out for me. My bank account was full. My life was happy. You know, I have a son who played in the NFL, went to the Super Bowl. I have a set of twins, played football, and went to the University of Maryland. But as I came back from Hong Kong on a trip, I had a vision. And without vision, people perish. I'm not saying I saw something. I literally got caught up. And I don't have time to explain the details, but in this vision, it was dark. And I was helping a lady with a campaign. And the voice said unto me, get on the ballot. When I didn't even know what the ballot was. So sometimes people, they're excited about their experience, their background. But in 2 months after I had this vision, I called my pastor, I called everybody that was significant in my life, and I said, hey, I just had this vision. And the key thing in the vision was that it was 3 o'clock in the morning, and it was the Lord who spoke to me and said, you get on the ballot. And this lady was going to get off that I was helping. In the middle of the vision, the lady called me and she said, I'm getting off the ballot. And it scared me so bad because I realized that this was more than just an everyday vision. So I took my own money. I didn't raise any money for my campaign. Nobody knew me except I was the preacher. I was the international speaker. I was the author. And I got on the ballot, and in 2 months, I got 93,000 votes. And this seat that I won, I'm a Democrat in the Democratic Party in America. It was a Republican seat in the most racist part of town you can ever be in. But when you have a vision, and if you are truly sent, there must be a violent interruption of the status quo. And that's why I chose that topic, because violence is everything to me. And I'm not talking about being criminal, but I'm talking about being passionate. I'm talking about being on fire. I'm talking about, there's a saying that our enemies are defeated by our testimony. And not only they're defeated by our testimony, but our enemies are put down when we love not our lives unto death. And there are people in this room that I believe are willing to die for what they believe for. And that's what it means to participate in a violent interruption. It means that you must become a violent interrupter. I am not liked in my city, or I'm not liked by the higher up folk or people that think I'm one way or the other. But I tell you what, the people who are hurting, the people who are oppressed, the people who need a breakthrough, they love violent interrupters. And when I think about my son, because there's been some challenges, and there's some challenges here. Everything that I've gotten in life was not given to me on a silver platter. I had to fight for it. I had to believe for it. And I realized that we're in here in the midst of different people from different backgrounds, from different faiths. But my son, who is a Super Bowl champion right now, he was about to go to prison for 3 to 5 years for silly stuff. But I was a mother with the anointing of violent interruption. I made up my mind that my child was not going to prison. And I told him, I said, and me being a world-class athlete, I trained him. And I told him, you come home and be with me. And I trained him. And with no college experience, never played college football, he went to the NFL, was on the team with the New York Giants, and became a Super Bowl champion. That's what violence is all about. Violence is not about your qualifications or your family bloodline or where you come from. Because if you look up my family bloodline or where I come from, I don't qualify. I've always had the mind and the intellect to be out front. But I come to share with you today that I believe that I've come all the way across the water from the United States just to be a part of what you're doing and to share my testimony that I came much further than from across the water. I came from a lot. And I stand before you guilty that I've done things that I'm not proud of in my past. But today, I stand before you as a person who's willing not just to come out, this is the key, but to go back and get the people that were left there. I am 60 years old. Most of my friends that were on the streets with me are dead, in mental institutions, walking around on the streets out of their minds. But when people come together with a vision, and when they know their purpose, I really believe that with all the anointing and with all the greatness that's in here, there is a purpose and there is a cause. We're not going to get anything done unless we upset some things, unless we disrupt the status quo and how it always has been. There's a saying that we are what we eat, and I want to say to you that we are how we think. And that's why the environment, the atmosphere, it must be changed so that the thinking of the people will be changed. I was on welfare in the United States as a young girl. I had a baby at 17 years old. Despite that, I still fought, got my scholarship, took my baby to college with me. And with all the obstacles and the hindrance, especially being a black woman in America under a very prejudiced regime. But I stand before you today, and I'm excited about the opportunity to share. And I'm so excited about the vision of change. And I want to close out by saying that even though I was on welfare and I was getting in America a check, in the mailbox every month for about a year or so, and food stamps or whatever I would get, it was a hand out. And I believe that people need a hand up. Something on the inside of me. I could have sat there and I could have gotten that check, and it was kind of fun being young, getting a check, but I could have sat there for the rest of my life. But something on the inside of me knew that there was a seed of violence on the inside of me that said, Kim, you cannot stay where you are. What I heard when I came in here, in my spirit, I heard, do what you say you're going to do and be who you are. And if everybody would be who they are, I can go from here to Russia, which I have been. And guess what? My real congresswoman, she said, Kim, don't put on your regular earrings. Put on some pearls. Or put on a pearl necklace. But you know what? Who you are made to be, that is the person that will cause change. Because people are looking for something that's real. There's too much fake and there's too much upfront, but people really appreciate leaders who understand serving. And that's the violent interruption. Because I come from a place where to be high up and to have it all together is the best. But there is something strategic that happens, and you got to say, how could this woman come from the streets of probably some of the worst activity you can imagine and stand before you today healed? I'm not bitter. I'm not mad at anybody, but I'm going to take everything that was meant for evil and all the experiences that I've had to share. And I'm honored to share that with you. And let me just give you my definition of violence, because some folks say, oh, violence, but we're not talking about that kind of violence. My definition of violence is acting with or marked by or resulting from a great force of energy, or emotional intensity. It's people affected by injury or force rather than regular circumstances. Violence marked by extreme intensity of conviction inclined to cause us to react fervently. Violence like the violence of Dr. Martin Luther King, who violently interrupted Jim Crow. Violence like the violence of former President Nelson Mandela, who violently interrupted apartheid. A violence like President Paul Kagame of Rwanda, who violently interrupted Rwandan genocide. They weren't born as kings, but they were born with a seed of violence. Regular people, that's who's leading right now. That's who needs to lead people. People who are in contact, people who can communicate, and people who can relate. We're in the middle of an election, a special election in my city right now. And the people want people who can relate to them and not look down on them. I believe that there are violent voices in here, and I came all the way from the United States of America by way of Jacksonville, Florida, to ignite the seed of violence, to release the voices of violence, because real change only comes from a violent interruption of the status quo, of breaking the power of the same old, same old. And I celebrate and salute all my sisters and all my brothers in here, and I'm glad to be a part of what's going on and what you're doing here. I commit myself fully to say that some things are about to be shaken. Everything that can be shaken will be shaken. There's a whole lot of shaking going on, and I'm so excited to be a part of it. Bless you.